Hey everybody, this is Craig from Field-Based STEM, and it's my absolute privilege to have Manu and also Louisa with us. Welcome to you both.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Great to see you both. Just in the interest of time, we'd love to hear from you about the exciting things that you're doing, and particularly around nature and wildlife and a sustainable future. So how about Louisa, why don't we start with you and then Manu as well?
Kia ora, thank you, Craig. Hi, everyone. My name is Louisa. I am from Project Jonah. We are a marine mammal welfare charity that has been operating in New Zealand since 1974. Originally set up as an organisation to stop whaling happening in New Zealand, we accomplished that and then looked to what else could be done to assist marine mammals, which are whales and dolphins in New Zealand. Since then, we've pioneered technology and resources which have helped refloat stranded whales and dolphins in New Zealand. We actually have one of the highest stranding rates in the world, with about 300 animals, whales and dolphins stranding on our shores every year. So 300 animals is a huge amount, and it keeps us busy. And so we've got a lot of practice at what we've been doing, and Project Jonah is there to empower locals to know what to do, empower communities with the knowledge to be able to make a difference, because we have the tools, we have the knowledge to help when whales do strand on our shores. And for us, the more people who know how to help, the better chance there is of these animals getting back out into the ocean where they belong.
Wonderful. We'll get into some more details as well really soon. I'd love to hear some experiences that you've had and the impact that that's had as well with the people who've been with you when you've done that. Let's just hear from Manu as well. Tell us what you're doing.
Kia ora, everyone. I'm Manu. I'm a marine biologist. Recently, I just started my own business as a consultant. My background is as a cetologist, and cetaceans are marine mammals, usually whales and dolphins. So I did my postgraduate studies, and that's what brought me to New Zealand on Hector's dolphins, which are endemic and only found in New Zealand, which is really special. So through my studies, I got to work alongside Project Jonah. I also assisted quite a few of the strandings that Louisa mentioned. And as part of my job after my PhD, I actually did a lot of those, unfortunately, necropsies of these dead animals, because we can obviously learn a lot from that. So I was being passionate with marine mammals ever since I was a child. So that's what's been my background. And recently we just collaborated with Project Jonah to bring marine mammalogy and how wonderful these animals are to the classrooms. So it's great to be able to sort of link again with what I really trained for all these years.
Amazing. Well, I had the privilege of meeting you, Manu, because we work with field-based STEM, and so we get to be with educators and students around New Zealand, funded by the Ministry of Education, so that we can expose students and teachers to the amazing opportunities being out there in the field presents. I'd love to hear from both of you about some of the experiences that you've had, and not just the saving, but also, Manu, you've said about what can happen if we don't manage to save the whales, the learnings we can get from that as well. Because I love that scientists have that perspective of nothing should be wasted, no experience should be wasted. We should learn from everything. So Louisa, how about you? Why don't you start with some experiences?
Well, I think my work spans so many different facets. We do everything from training people for if there's a stranding to responding when there's a stranding, and then inspiring people to make a difference before a stranding happens. And so I'm really fortunate I get to cover the whole continuum. But for me, what really sticks out is being at a stranding and working beside communities, helping these animals in what is probably the most stressful day of their life. These are big, wild animals. They're huge. They're out of their natural environment. They're sitting or lying on a beach, which is a hard surface. It's something that they've probably never encountered before. And then you have all of these people around them making noise and trying to help. So with the knowledge that I have, and with the knowledge that Project Jonah has, we are able to empower people to do some things that can really help assist on the beach, and to be able to keep the whales nice and cool we have water available, and to keep calm and to do some things that we know will provide comfort is a real privilege. And there is nothing that is like being next to a whale and working with it, looking in their eyes. They can see around, they know what's happening, monitor their breathing. You get to know these animals really intimately, and if something is stressing them out, they'll breathe a lot quicker or they'll stop breathing. And to be able to provide comfort is a huge privilege. So that's some of the work that we do, and even before strandings happen, teaching people how they can help, because we have such a high stranding rate around the country, is really important to me.
Wow. Manu, is there a particular experience that you've had with helping whales that have been stranded?
Yes, like Louisa was saying, these are sentient beings. They're marine mammals. They have a very large brain. They're really clever, intelligent animals, and having that eye-to-eye contact, and even like, being able to touch an animal, it's really, really special. I had the chance to actually see them in the wild, interacting with them through my research, whether it was on land or on the boat. So when you see them in their real environment, you get this factor. It's like, wow, amazing animal. Just hearing them breathe, and when you get a mum and calf and get to see them what they do in their own time, it's just wonderful. And then when you see them strand, and then you know that they're not meant to be on land, like their bones are being crushed because they're not as strong as us. Because in the water, for example, you don't need to have strong bones. The water does that work against gravity. So you see them, stressed, and like Lucia was saying, the more people want to help, but at the same time stressing them, so trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, sometimes they do pass away, and it's really sad, especially when you spend hours and hours trying to keep that animal alive, and you get that sort of special bond. And when they pass away, it's like, yeah, you can feel it. It's even me now talking.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that for a while, but what I've done as well is go beyond that, like making sure that the animal, which for some iwi is like an ancestor, is not sort of wasted at death. So obviously you have to make sure that the iwi are okay with that. So sometimes we're only able to take measurements, like body measurements or a skin sample. Sometimes we're allowed to take a little bit more. So then we're going to take, some organs and things like that. So then go back in the lab and try to figure out what's going on. So a lot of that work, for example, has been done by Massey University, with whom I did my PhD, and I used to work for a while. And they're trying to do a lot of work at the moment, trying to understand how we can look after these animals and the welfare. So it's important, like Lucia said, like to make sure that they're okay. And then whenever we can, to also empower people to take some data that scientists will be able to use, like breathing rate, which animal is trending to whom. And then if we take skin, we can say, are they related to each other? If you take things like teeth, you can figure out how old they are. If you can take other organs, you can figure out if they're sexually mature and things like that. So we can learn a lot from, unfortunately, animals that pass away. But even the live ones, you can discreetly maybe take some measurements and things like that. That would help scientists to sort of better understand why they're stranding, because we're still not 100% sure why they're stranded, and try to prevent it. And then also making sure that, are we really seeing the animals? Is that the right thing to do? Or that it's such a poor condition that, unfortunately, and I know it's really sad, I had to assist on all of those, and it's pretty dramatic, but sometimes euthanasia, unfortunately, is the best thing, because you don't want the animal to suffer, or like a bit like your animal, like your cat or your dog. But I have to say, yeah, seeing them alive in that real environment is really special. And in New Zealand, we are so fortunate. Like recently, you had orca within a couple of meters from the shore when they were chasing stingrays. Or I live in Whangarei, and not so long we had orca, we had bottlenose. So you can even observe them, even if you don't have a bite, sometimes from a cliff, and it makes it really special. So it's worth protecting.
Louisa, are there certain things that New Zealanders can do if they do see a whale that's stranded? Obviously, I think I would ring 111 and say, this is what I've seen. And I guess there are other phone numbers we should be ringing, but what are some actions we should do that are going to help the whale and not harm it?
Yes, good question. 111 wouldn't be incorrect. Other numbers you could call is Department of Conservation. They have a 24-hour hotline, and that number's 0800 DOC-HOT. And Project Jonah also runs a hotline, and our number is 0800 4 and then whale. Either of those numbers will get through to ourselves in the Department of Conservation, and then we can start mobilising people and resources to a stranding site. I think the clear messages we really want to get through to people is not to move the whales. Although they are really big and they look really robust, they are actually really delicate animals, as Manu alluded to. They don't have super strong bones and connective tissues and things that we have, so they don't like being dragged or pushed or moved. And so as much as you really want to run in there and push them back into the ocean, it's really important that we step back and look at the scene and realise that that's probably not the best thing to do. So we can keep them cool. We can pour water on them, but not down the blowhole, because they breathe out of their blowhole, and it's like somebody pouring water down your nose. It's not going to be very comfortable for them.
Oh, terrible.
And just keeping nice and calm around them, not yelling, not having dogs close by. And last thing, being really aware of their tail. That tail is one of the most powerful muscles in the animal kingdom. And if that whale decides to stretch, that tail can come up half the length of its body. And if you're standing over the top of it, you're going to go flying and get injured.
Wow.
So it's important that we know how to place ourselves around the animal and how to provide care in a safe way.
Wow. Okay. And Manu, when you are working in schools as part of field-based STEM, what are some of the learnings or opportunities that students and teachers have as part of our Ph.D. program in New Zealand schools?
I think with Project Jonah is going to be great because they have an amazing educational program. So now we're able to bring that into any schools that are interested to learn from marine mammals, and they can see all the different educational programs that Project Jonah offers. And then when I come in is that Project Jonah comes in, do the teaching about the marine mammals, and then I can help with special activities that run by Project Jonah, and also bring in my own experience. Like I had the privilege of, working with Hector dolphins here in New Zealand, Moana dolphins. I had also the pleasure of going through to New Caledonia to work with humpback whales and doing shore observations over there. And I worked in Hawaii and Australia, same thing with a lot of amazing species. So I can bring my own sort of experience and background working on boat, working on land, and also nowadays, thanks to technology, there's some amazing things that anyone can do. Like right now, we can go on, citizen science project based around the world, like Happy Whale. And I could go on there, sign in, and help matching flukes from, Norway and anywhere else. So there's a lot of opportunities for even school children and teachers to sort of go in and participate as citizen scientists, even if you're like in the school not far bit away from the shore, you might still be able to work with marine mammals, or you can try to participate in every year. We try to count the whales that pass through New Zealand. So there's a lot of opportunities that we can help the schools bring in and sort of tie in with the scientific curriculum that they have. And if there's a school that are blessed to be by the water, and then if they do have sightings, I know Nururu, for example, they have a bell and they go and check the dolphins and things like that. So they could sometimes call even hot dock line, because it's not just for strandings. Sometimes they're interested in finding special animals. Like a few months ago, we had a really rare Maui, or Hector, we're not sure, dolphin in Northland here. And people were trying to locate it to help dock, to sort of try to get some skin sample to try to identify where is that dolphin belonging. Is that a Hector dolphin or a Maui dolphin? So sometimes even just being able to, help researchers, like we have a group in the far north here that are looking for 4-killer whales. So you can call them and say, hey, we have 4-killer whale in the area. So it's help them to go and see them. Or orca with Ingrid Visser, every time there's orca sightings, you can call the specific number and tell them what sighting you have. So any schools or any children that are close by, or if they're interested, they can also help in being awesome citizen scientists. So basically helping each other out and
Love it.
Helping that knowledge grow about these species that we have in New Zealand.
I love that it's what you do and what field-based STEM does is it's very hands-on, it's very practical, it's out there actually in the environment. It's there is the deep science and the biology and everything, which is the meaty part of the science curriculum, but it's actually very hands-on and learning it in the real environment, and the way that technology is leveraged for people to be able to actually, as you say, be citizen scientists and contribute to the build-up of knowledge around the world so that that knowledge base can actually grow. What an amazing opportunity for students and teachers to do that. Louisa, when you're thinking about people coming in to work with Project Jonah and to maybe look at it as a career or taking a leadership opportunity there, what sort of skills, background, knowledge, qualifications would you be looking for in people?
That's a great question. Often we have prospective students coming to us going down the line of wanting to become marine scientists, and that's a fabulous career to pursue, but the opportunities are quite few in New Zealand. And so what I want to encourage students to do is to think widely as well. We have amazing marine scientists in New Zealand, and they are so wonderful at the work that they do, but they're also assisted by accountants, photographers, social media experts, science communicators. And so what I want to encourage people to do if they have a passion for the marine environment is to think widely, because there are so many different ways that you can integrate that passion and the skills that you have into a job that really works well for you.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. Just as we wrap up, what would be one thing that you would say that you'll never, ever forget about your experiences with Project Jonah or in your career thus far? What's one thing that you might tell the great-great-grandkids is the most meaningful?
I think that the fact that in the world there are 88-ish species of whales and dolphins, and in New Zealand we're lucky to see 44 different kinds that live in our waters or travel through. So without knowing it, we have so many different species right on our doorstep. And so what I want to encourage the next generation to do is to get passionate and to get curious about what's just out in the deep blue. And sometimes if you don't think about it, you don't know it's there. So I want to inspire curiosity in our next generation, which will hopefully lead to passion and advocacy.
Love it. Manu?
Exactly. It's exactly like what Louisa said, is building up on that passion. When I was a tutor, I always said to my students, you cannot solve all the problems in the world. So find something that makes your heart sing and try to see what you can do about it. And same thing, like if you want to help marine mammals, like Louisa said, you can be a lawyer, or like you, Craig, you can help with drones or something. So there's gazillion ways of helping. And then if you manage to do something that makes your heart sing, then you're never going to work a day in your life because you're always passionate. Like even for me, if I had to spend like 80 hours a week sometime in the field because you have to go every single day, you live so many amazing moments that it's not working. It's just pleasure. And then same thing, if you can build on getting people to connect with the environment and better know about it, because you can better protect what you know. So like Louisa said, like, let's get out there. And then for me, obviously, the Moana of the marine environment is what makes my heart tick. So I'm more of like a saltwater person than a freshwater person. So why not, go in the water, like take a mask and snorkel and see what's under the water and try to understand how everything interacts. And everything is connecting. So, the mountain to the sea. So what we do on land is affecting the ocean. So if we want to protect our environment, even climate change, we have to look at everything. And like I said, you cannot do it all at once. So let's find something that we're passionate about and work for that. And that's why STEM is great, because we have experts from different fields that all have a passion in a specific area. And then we can bring that to the school and help them develop curriculum that's also focused on their local needs and what they want, and try to use their local environment. Like something in Northland might be different than in Southland, or in the middle of Taupo, which is more like a lake or the ocean. So we have a lot of different experts that, can come in and bring their passion and then share that to the kids, and then inspire them to find their passion and, make that change. And for me, what I've learned from a young age, like I grew up an hour and a half from the sea, and I always wanted to study marine mammals. And I remember when I was 13, the kind of person you see at school to see like which direction you should go. She said, don't go in biology, there's no job. And I said, well, no, that's what I want to do. So guess what? I didn't stay in France. I went to the UK and I did my undergrad, and then I came to New Zealand. So sometimes you can still realize your dream, and you just don't have to look on your own where you're from. Sometimes it might take you somewhere else. And for me, I enjoyed it. I had my big OE. I lived in 5 countries. I had amazing experiences. So sometimes,
Wow.
if you're motivated and if you got your heart there, doors will open if you're meant to be. So it's also, inspiring the kids that, if you really want something, just work at it. And it might take time, but you'll get there.
Awesome. Well, Manu, thank you very much for giving us your time. Louisa, thanks for sharing your experiences. Really appreciate the honour that Field-Based STEM gets to work with Project Jonah and both of you as well to bring everything that you do and all of your knowledge, skills and experiences to New Zealand classrooms. Please don't go anywhere. Just as I wrap up, and for those of you who work in schools, you might be a principal or a DP or head of science or STEM, and you're looking for a way to bring a wealth of experience, such as Louisa's and Manu's, into the classroom, and to get students and teachers out of the classroom to actually experience science in the real world out there in the environment, just reach out to us, fieldbasedstem.kiwi, or you can contact me directly on Twitter, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Wherever you see this video, you can DM me and I'll get you connected with Field-Based STEM and the professional learning and development opportunities. We have this privilege in New Zealand where the Ministry of Education funds professional learning and development for teachers, educators to provide greater learning experiences. So do reach out to us. We look forward to serving you in your schools. Thank you very much, both of you, for your time. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks,
Greg, for having us.